a previous lesson, we learned about the equation of a circle, and that was the standard form equation. Today we're going to learn how to take the general form of the equation and turn it into the standard form. And we're going to do that by using a process called completing the square. This is a process you should have learned in Algebra 1, but it's been a while, so we're going to kind of refresh your memory on it. The first thing we want to do is we're going to take the equation they've given us and we're going to move everything to the same side, except the number, except the constant. So I'm going to subtract 6x, I'm going to add y squared, so that the only thing on the right is that 11. And I'm going to group them together, so I'm going to say x squared minus 6x, and I'm going to leave a little space here, because there's a number that's going to go in that box that'll be helpful to us, plus y squared plus 8y plus another box equals 11. And now I'm going to duplicate those two boxes on the right hand side so that I remember whatever I did to the left hand side, I have to do to the right hand side. Now let me give you a brief rundown on completing the square. Let's take this x squared minus 6x. My goal is to put a magic number in the box so that I end up with x minus something squared. I want it to be a perfect square. So I'm going to start out with this. This is going to represent my x squared, right in here. Now, I'm going to take my minus 6x and I'm going to split it into two pieces because I want to put 3 of them here, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put 3 of them over here. Remember, we want this to be a square. This will be a minus 3 because those were negatives. We want it to be a square, so we need the sides of the square to be the same length. So the question here would be, what do I need to add in here to complete my square? So again, the question is, what do I need to do? What do I need to add to complete my square? So it looks like in this little patch here, I need to add 9. So if I add 9 right there, I have completed a square that is x minus 3 on both sides. So that's the concept behind completing the square. The little rule you will want to remember for completing the square is you're going to take b divided by 2 and then square it. So in this case, your b value, remember we've got a squared plus bx plus c. The b is the number in front of the x. So half of negative 6 was negative 3, and then negative 3 squared was 9. And whatever number I put in this box, I also add to the other side of the equation to keep it balanced. So we're going to do the same thing here with the y squared plus 8y. I need to make it something squared. So the rule is I take half of 8, which is 4, and square it and get 16. And then when I factor y squared plus 8y plus 16, I get y plus 4 squared. And now over here I add 11 plus 9 plus 16, and I think that's 36. 11 plus 9 plus 16 is 36. So there is my equation of my circle, using completing the square. Not a difficult process, but just one you have to understand. The center of this circle would be 3, negative 4, and the radius of my circle is 6. Alright, let's do the same thing again. We'll practice this process. So again, I want to get my x's together, my y's together, and my constant to the other side. Oh, let me go down to number 2 instead of number 4. So on this one, I've got x squared. There are no other x terms, so x squared is by itself. Plus y squared. I'm going to subtract the 6y from both sides, and then I'll leave the 16 alone. I forgot to leave space for my little boxes here, so I'll include those. So this is x squared. Now this is y squared minus 6y, and we just did one of those, where it said x squared minus 6x. So we take half of negative 6, which is negative 3, and square it, we get 9. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. And then when I factor y squared minus 6y minus 9, I get y minus 3 squared. And 16 plus 9 is 25. So notice when I factored it, this number right here was what I got when I took half of the b value. So if it was positive 6, that would have been a positive 3. So the center of my circle, notice there's no number with the x squared, so that's just 0. Y minus 3 squared gives me a y coordinate of 3, and my radius is 5. Okay, let's do another one. So I'm going to group my x's together. X squared minus 8x plus a box. Y squared plus 4y plus a box equals negative 4 plus a box plus a box. So whatever I add to the left side, I can remember to add to the right side. The boxes just help me to remember to do that. So let's take half of negative 8, which is negative 4, squared is 16. We'll add 16 to both sides. For the y coordinate, I'll take half of 4, which is 2, and square it and get 4. And add 4 to both sides. Now when I factor this, I get x minus 4 squared. I created my perfect square. And when I factor this one, I get y plus 2 squared. And then when I add these together, I get 16. There's the equation of my circle. My center, 4, negative 2. My radius is 4. So it's not hard to do. You just have to remember the process of completing the square. We've got 2 more to practice. If you think you've got it, you can go ahead and do your own practice. If you want to see a couple more, here they are. X squared minus 8x plus something plus y squared plus 12y plus something. I'm going to add the 12 to the other side and then put my 2 boxes just to help me remember to add my numbers to both sides. So completing the square, half of 8, 4, well negative 8 is negative 4 squared is 16, add that to both sides. Half of 12 is 6, 6 squared is 36, and I'll add 36 to both sides. Now we'll factor. X squared minus 8x plus 16 is x minus 4 squared. Y squared plus 12y plus 36 is y plus 6 squared. And now I add 12 plus 36 plus 16. 12 plus 16 plus 36. 64. So there's the equation of my circle. It has a center of 4, negative 6, and it has a radius of 8. Alright, last example. If you're still here to see the last example, x squared plus 8x plus a box. I just grouped my like terms together. Y squared minus 6y plus a box. And there was no constant number, so on the other side I just have 0 plus whatever goes in those boxes. So we've done this several times. You take half of 8, which is 4, and square it. Add that to both sides. Half of 6, which is 3, and square it. And add that to both sides. And when you factor it, the little shortcut is whatever half of your b value was, whatever half of that is what you end up with in your factored term. Y squared minus 6y, so that's going to be y minus 3 squared. And 16 plus 9 is 25. So my center is negative 4, 3, and my radius is 5. That is how you write the equation of a circle using completing the square.